It's 4:51 a.m. on May 1st, 2010. The quiet of a Long Island night is shattered by a 911 call, a young woman's voice cutting through the static, raw with terror. "There's somebody after me. They're trying to kill me. Please, I need help." Her name is Shannon Gilbert. She's 24, an escort working to survive, running through the dark streets of Oak Beach, a gated beach community where wealth and isolation collide. She bangs on doors, her screams echoing off million-dollar homes, pleading for anyone, to save her. Male voices shout in the background, their words indistinct but urgent. Then, abruptly, the line goes silent, her final cry swallowed by the night. For 19 months, her desperate pleas were ignored, dismissed as the ravings of a troubled woman, her life deemed unworthy of urgency. Her body was found by chance, tangled in the reeds of a marsh near Gilgo Beach, a discovery that peeled back the veneer of Long Island's idyllic shores. But what police uncovered wasn't just Shannon's tragedy. It was a graveyard, a chilling testament to a predator who hunted in plain sight, leaving bodies along a highway thousands drove daily. The Long Island serial killer didn't just take lives. He buried truth under layers of sand, silence, and societal indifference, exploiting a system that failed to protect the vulnerable. For years, no one asked the right questions. No one cared enough to dig deeper, to listen to the voices crying out from the dunes. Stay with us, because what we uncovered while researching this case will haunt you. Some of these women are still out there, their bodies unfound, their stories untold, their families trapped in a purgatory of grief and hope. Who's really looking for them? And why did it take a desperate 911 call to expose a killer who'd been hiding for decades? It's a chilly spring morning in Oak Beach, a gated enclave on Long Island's South Shore, where sprawling homes with manicured lawns face the restless Atlantic, their windows reflecting wealth and seclusion. Shannon Gilbert, a 24-year-old from Jersey City, New Jersey, arrives just before midnight on April 30th, 2010, driven by her hire driver, Michael Pack, to meet a client she connected with on Craigslist. His name is Joseph Brewer, a middle-aged Oak Beach resident who booked her for an overnight escort job. Shannon, with her blonde hair and bright smile, is no stranger to this work. She takes jobs to pay her bills, to fund her dream of becoming a professional singer, to carve out a life on her terms. The house is quiet, its lights dim, the neighborhood asleep under a blanket of stars. Brewer greets her, and Pack waits outside, standard protocol for a job like this. But sometime after 2 a.m., something goes horribly wrong. At 4:51 a.m., Shannon dials 911, her voice a cascade of panic, her words spilling out in a torrent of fear. "Somebody's after me. They're trying to kill me," she cries, her breath ragged, her footsteps pounding as she runs through the dark, winding streets of Oak Beach. "Please, I need help. Send someone." The dispatcher, overwhelmed, struggles to keep up. "Where are you? Can you tell me where you are?" they ask repeatedly. Shannon, disoriented in the unfamiliar community, can't pinpoint her location. "I don't know. I'm running, they're coming," she sobs, her voice breaking. In the background, male voices, later identified as Pack and Brewer, can be heard, shouting for her to calm down, to come back, their tones a mix of frustration and urgency. "No, they're going to kill me." Shannon screams, her fear palpable, her coherence slipping but her desperation clear. The call lasts 22 agonizing minutes, a real-time descent into terror, with Shannon's pleas growing fainter, her words more frantic. She reaches the home of Gus Coletti, a 75-year-old retired insurance adjuster, banging on his door with such force it rattles the frame. Coletti, startled awake, opens the door to find a young woman, wide-eyed, trembling, her blonde hair disheveled, her face pale with fear. "Help me," she pleads, stepping inside briefly. Coletti, concerned but confused, reaches for his phone to call police, but Shannon, paranoid and convinced her pursuer is closing in, bolts back into the night, screaming as she disappears down the street. "I tried to help her," Coletti later told Newsday in 2011, his voice heavy with regret, but she was too scared to stay. Minutes later, Shannon pounds on another door, that of Barbara Brennan, a neighbor living with her elderly mother. Brennan, wary, refuses to open, later explaining to police, "I heard her screaming, but I couldn't risk my mother's safety. I didn't know who she was running from." Brennan calls 911, reporting a hysterical woman at her doorstep. Suffolk County Police arrive at 5:50 a.m., nearly an hour after Shannon's call. By then, she's gone, vanished into the labyrinth of Oak Beach's streets, swallowed by the darkness. No immediate search is launched. No helicopters sweep the area. No dogs are deployed. No officers canvass the neighborhood door to door. Michael Pack, who waited hours at the scene, tells police Shannon was acting erratic, a narrative they seize upon. "Just another missing prostitute," an officer reportedly tells Pack, according to a 2012 lawsuit filed by Shannon's family. Her case is filed as a missing person, but it gathers dust, treated as a low-priority nuisance rather than a potential homicide. No media alerts are issued. No community warnings sent. It takes 19 months, until December 13th, 2011, for Shannon's body to be found, tangled in the dense, thorny reeds of a marsh near Gilgo Beach, just a half-mile from Brewer's home. Her jeans, shoes, and jacket are scattered nearby, her phone and purse missing. The official autopsy, conducted by Suffolk County, lists undetermined cause of death, suggesting she drowned accidentally in the marsh, possibly disoriented from drugs, exhaustion, or hypothermia. Then Commissioner Richard Dormer doubles down, stating at a 2011 press conference, "There's no evidence of foul play in Shannon Gilbert's case." Her family rejects this narrative outright. A private autopsy, commissioned by their attorney, John Ray, and performed by Dr. Michael Baden, a renowned forensic pathologist, points to homicidal strangulation, citing damage to her hyoid bone, a small structure in the neck often broken in strangulation cases. "There's no way she just wandered into that marsh and drowned," Baden told CBS News in 2012. "The evidence suggests someone ended her life." Shannon's mother, Mari Gilbert, sobs at a press conference, "My daughter was running for her life. She called for help, and no one came. Why didn't they listen to her screams?" The 911 tapes, withheld by Suffolk County Police for 12 years despite court orders, were finally released in May 2022. They reveal a chaotic, heartbreaking ordeal. Shannon's coherence fading, male voices arguing, a dispatcher asking repetitive questions, failing to dispatch units quickly. "I'm going to die." Shannon sobs at one point, her voice raw, desperate. The tapes fuel outrage, raising questions about what police knew and when. Why did it take 19 months to find Shannon, when her last known location was a half-mile away? And what did the police miss in those critical hours that might have saved her or others? December 10th, 2010. The air is bitter along Ocean Parkway, a desolate, windswept highway slicing through Long Island South Shore, flanked by sandy dunes, scrubby marshland, and the restless Atlantic. Suffolk County Police Officer John Malia and his K-9 partner, Blue, are combing the area for Shannon Gilbert, whose case has lingered unsolved for 7 months, her disappearance a nagging question mark. The search is routine, the terrain unforgiving, thorny brush, icy patches, and biting wind. Blue pauses near a cluster of dunes, his nose twitching, alerting to something buried beneath the sand. Malia digs, expecting debris or an animal carcass. Instead, he uncovers a human body, wrapped tightly in a coarse burlap sack, partially decomposed, hidden just off the road, where thousands of cars pass daily. It's not Shannon. It's someone else, a woman, young, her identity unknown. Over the next 3 days, the search intensifies, and the horror multiplies. 3 more bodies are found, each wrapped in burlap, each placed with chilling precision along a quarter-mile stretch of Ocean Parkway, near Gilgo Beach. The media dubs them the Gilgo Four. Their stories pieced together through dental records, DNA, and missing persons reports. Maureen Brainard-Barnes, 25, from Norwich, Connecticut, missing since July 9th, 2007. A mother of 2, she worked as an escort to support her children, dreaming of opening a hair salon. Her sister, Nicolette, described her as full of life, always laughing. Melissa Barthélemy, 24, from Buffalo, New York, vanished July 12, 2009. A petite aspiring hairstylist, she moved to the Bronx to chase opportunity, taking escort jobs to make ends meet. Megan Waterman, 22, from Scarborough, Maine, last seen June 6, 2010, at a Hop Hog hotel. A mother to a 4-year-old daughter, Lily. She worked to provide a better future. Amber Lynn Costello, 27, from Wilmington, North Carolina, gone September 2nd, 2010. A free spirit battling addiction. She was trying to rebuild her life. Her smile infectious. All 4 were petite in their 20s, working as escorts through Craigslist, their lives intersecting in the shadowy world of online sex work. All were strangled, their bodies dumped methodically, wrapped in burlap sacks, positioned as if on display, hidden yet brazenly close to a public highway. Forensic analysis confirms the killings occurred over a 3-year span, with Amber's death the most recent, just months before the discovery. The methodical placement, consistent materials, precise spacing, suggests a single killer, meticulous, practiced, unafraid of detection. The discovery sends shockwaves through Long Island, a region unaccustomed to serial killers, its beach town synonymous with summer escapes, not body dumps. National media descends, headlines screaming Long Island Ripper, Craigslist Killer, and Gilgo Beach murders. Residents of Gilgo, Oak Beach, and Babylon lock their doors, their sense of safety shattered. This doesn't happen here. A local barista tells Newsday in December 2010, her voice trembling. This is a place for families, vacations, not this. But the Suffolk County Police Department's early response sets a troubling tone. At a December 14, 2010, press conference, then Commissioner Richard Dormer describes the victims as individuals living high-risk lifestyles, implying their choices led to their fate. The statement sparks outrage among victims' families, who see it as a dismissal of their loved ones' humanity. They weren't high risk. Mari Gilbert, Shannon's mother, tells reporters. They were daughters, mothers, sisters. They deserve protection. The public grows uneasy, their fear tinged with a chilling realization. If 4 bodies were found so easily, in such a public place, how many more are hidden in the dunes, waiting to be uncovered? What kind of predator could operate undetected for years, leaving bodies along a highway thousands drove daily? And how many more victims are out there, lost in the sand? By spring 2011, the search for Shannon Gilbert expands along Ocean Parkway, from Gilgo Beach to Jones Beach, a 10-mile corridor of sand, marsh, and pine barrens. The discoveries multiply, each more horrifying than the last. 6 additional sets of remains are uncovered, scattered across Suffolk and Nassau counties, pushing the body count to 10, with Shannon's remains found later that year. The new finds paint a grim picture. Jessica Taylor, 20, an escort from Washington, D.C., missing since July 2003. Her body was dismembered, her head, hands, and forearm found in Manorville, 45 miles east, in 2003. The torso, discovered near Gilgo in 2011, links the cases through DNA. Valerie Mack, 24, an escort from Philadelphia, vanished in 2000. Identified in 2020 via genetic genealogy, her remains were scattered, some in Manorville, some in Gilgo, suggesting a killer who revisited dumping grounds. A toddler, 18 to 24 months old, wrapped in a blanket, found near adult remains. DNA confirms she was the daughter of an unidentified victim, known as Peaches for a heart-shaped tattoo on her chest, found in 1997 in the Hempstead Lake State Park. An Asian individual, aged 17 to 23, possibly a trans woman, dressed in women's clothing, killed by blunt force trauma, not strangulation. Unidentified, their case remains a mystery. Two unidentified women, known only as Jane Doe No. 6 and DeSkull, their remains too fragmented to yield clear identities or causes of death. Bone fragments found in 2011 near Gilgo Beach hint at additional victims, too degraded for DNA analysis. The tally is staggering. 10 bodies, plus Shannon's, across a decade, possibly 2. The Gilgo Four, Maureen, Melissa, Megan, and Amber, share eerie similarities. Strangled, wrapped in burlap, dumped recently, 2007 to 2010. But the others, Jessica, Valerie, Peaches, show different methods, like dismemberment and older timelines, dating back to the 1990s. The toddler's presence is particularly haunting, her tiny body a reminder of a mother lost, her identity still unknown. Investigators face a puzzle that defies easy answers. Is this the work of one killer, evolving over decades, shifting from dismemberment to strangulation, refining his methods? Or are there multiple predators, drawn to Long Island's isolated shores as a dumping ground, their crimes converging by chance? Suffolk County Police, in a March 2011 statement, hedged their bets. We're not certain all cases are connected, but we're investigating every possibility. The FBI, brought in late, suggests a single killer for the Gilgo Four, but cautions against linking older cases without concrete evidence, citing differences in victimology and disposal methods. The public grows restless, their fear fueled by chilling details. Melissa Barthelomy's killer used her phone to make taunting calls to her family, starting a week after her disappearance. Is this Melissa's mom? A male voice sneered in July 2009, traced to a burner phone in Manhattan's Penn Station. She's a whore and she's dead now. The calls, 7 in total, stopped after police traced them. But the cruelty lingers, a window into a killer's mind. Online forums like Web Sleuths and Reddit buzz with theories. A lone wolf with a long career, a pair of killers working in tandem, even a cult or police involvement. The toddler's blanket, the burlap sacks, the dismembered remains, all feed speculation that the truth is far from simple. If one killer didn't commit all these murders, who else is lurking in Long Island shadows? And why are so many victims still nameless? From the moment Shannon Gilbert vanished, the Suffolk County Police Department's handling of the case was a masterclass in apathy and error. Her 911 call, a 22-minute lifeline filled with screams of "they're trying to kill me," was dismissed as the rantings of a drug-addled escort. Officers who responded to Gilgo Beach, nearly an hour after her call, conducted a cursory sweep, taking Michael Pack's word that Shannon was erratic and likely fine. No search teams were deployed, no alerts issued, no neighbors canvassed beyond initial statements. These girls come and go. An officer reportedly told Pack, according to a 2012 lawsuit filed by Shannon's family, a phrase that set the tone for the investigation. Witnesses were ignored or mishandled. Gus Coletti, the neighbor who let Shannon in, told police he saw a dark SUV speeding away that morning, but was never asked for a detailed description. Barbara Brennan, who heard Shannon's screams, was questioned once and dismissed. A chilling tip came from Dr. Peter Hackett, an Oak Beach resident who called Shannon's mother, Mari Gilbert, days after her disappearance, claiming he ran a home for wayward girls and had seen Shannon, giving her medication before she left. Hackett later denied the call, but phone records confirmed it. Police questioned him, but never searched his property, despite his proximity to the marsh where Shannon was found. They treated him like a quirky neighbor, not a suspect. Mari told Dateline in 2013, her voice trembling with frustration. Then there's James Burke, Suffolk County Police Chief, from 2012 to 2015, whose tenure casts a long shadow over the case. Burke, convicted in 2016 for assaulting a suspect who stole drugs from his car and obstructing a federal probe into police corruption, is accused of sabotaging the Gilgo investigation. Former colleagues describe him as erratic, with rumored ties to sex workers and a history of frequenting Long Island's seedy underbelly, including parties in Oak Beach. In a 2016 New York Post report, an anonymous officer claimed Burke kept the FBI at arm's length to protect his own interests, possibly fearing exposure of departmental misconduct. Whether he was involved or merely incompetent, his leadership stifled progress, delaying federal resources until his ousting. The 911 tapes of Shannon's call were withheld for 12 years, despite court orders and relentless pleas from her family. Released in May 2022 after a lawsuit, they reveal a chaotic, heartbreaking ordeal. Shannon screams, male voices arguing, "Get back here." One shouts, and a dispatcher asking repetitive questions, failing to dispatch units quickly. "I'm going to die." Shannon sobs at the 15-minute mark, her voice raw, her coherence fraying but her fear unmistakable. Police claimed the tapes were sensitive evidence in an ongoing case. Justification critics like John Ray, Shannon's attorney, call a cover-up. There's not a scintilla of evidence she died of an accident, Ray told News 12 Long Island in 2022. Why hide the tapes unless you're protecting someone or something? The FBI's involvement was delayed until 2015, allegedly blocked by Burke, who resisted federal oversight, citing jurisdictional pride. A 2016 task force, formed under new Commissioner Timothy Sini, brought renewed focus, using genetic genealogy and advanced forensics, but progress was glacial. Families of the victims were stonewalled, told their daughters' cases were complex or low priority. Lynn Barthélemy, Melissa's mother, recalled in a 2017 NBC interview, "They told me she was a prostitute. What did you expect? I expected my daughter to be treated like a human being, not a throwaway." The department's early refusal to link Shannon's case to the others, despite her body being found in the same area, fueled suspicions of a deliberate effort to minimize the scope of the killings. What truths did the police bury alongside these women? And who, or what, were they protecting in the shadows of Long Island's dunes? For over a decade, the Long Island serial killer remained a phantom, a faceless predator whose identity fueled endless speculation in true crime circles, newsrooms, and Long Island bars. Names surfaced, each sparking hope, dread, and unanswered questions. John Bitrolf, a Manorville carpenter, convicted in 2014 for the murders of 2 sex workers, Rita Tangredi and Colleen McNamee, killed in 1993 to 94. Their bodies, found in Long Island's East End, were strangled and posed, eerily similar to the Gilgo Four. Bitrolf lived near the Manorville sites where Jessica Taylor and Valerie Mack's remains were found, raising suspicions. But no DNA or forensic evidence ties him to Ocean Parkway, and he's remained silent, serving 2 consecutive life sentences. James Burke, the disgraced Suffolk County Police Chief, whose actions cast a dark cloud over the case. His obstruction of the FBI probe, alleged ties to sex workers, and rumored presence at Oak Beach parties fueled wild theories. Was he involved, covering for a colleague, or simply incompetent, prioritizing his career over justice? No direct evidence implicates him, but his shadow looms, a symbol of systemic failure. Joseph Brewer, Shannon's client, and Dr. Peter Hackett, the Oak Beach doctor who called her mother, were early persons of interest. Brewer, who hosted Shannon that night, gave vague accounts of their encounter, claiming she freaked out and ran. Hackett's call to Mari Gilbert, claiming he saw Shannon and gave her medication, was confirmed by phone records, though he later denied it. Both were questioned but never charged, their odd behavior keeping them in the public's crosshairs. Then, on July 13, 2023, a seismic breakthrough shakes the case. Rex Hoyerman, a 60-year-old architect from Massapequa Park, just miles from Gilgo Beach, is arrested outside his Manhattan office. The evidence is damning. DNA from a pizza crust he discarded in Midtown matches a hair found on Megan Waterman's body, preserved in burlap. Burner phones he used to contact the Gilgo Four traced to locations near his office and Long Island home, with calls made to victims' phones before their disappearances. A green Chevy Avalanche, registered to Hoyerman, was seen near Amber Costello's last known location in West Babylon in September 2010, reported by a witness who saw her enter a vehicle. A planning document on his laptop, recovered by a task force, details his methods: selecting petite women, luring them via Craigslist, avoiding detection with burner phones, and disposing of bodies in burlap sacks. Burlap, duct tape, and a belt with the initials WH or HM, possibly his father's, found at crime scenes link him to the murders. Hoyerman is charged with 6 murders. The Gilgo Four: Maureen, Melissa, Megan, Amber, Jessica Taylor, and Sandra Costilla, a 1993 victim whose case was reopened after similarities emerged. Prosecutors call him a monster living a double life, a married father of 2 who blended into suburbia while hunting vulnerable women with chilling precision. District Attorney Ray Tierney told CNN in July 2023, he exploited their desperation, their isolation, and we have the evidence to prove it. But Hoyerman hasn't confessed. His lawyer, Michael Brown, insists the evidence is circumstantial. Rex is a family man, a professional, not a murderer. He's not capable of this. Hoyerman's family, his wife, Asa Ellerup, and 2 adult children, were blindsided, issuing a statement via their attorney, Vesmitev, in 2023. We're devastated. We had no idea. We're cooperating fully. Neighbors describe Hoyerman as quiet, unremarkable, a typical Long Island dad, who mowed his lawn, waved politely, and kept to himself in his modest, cluttered home. Gaps in the case persist. 5 victims: Valerie Mack, the toddler, Peaches, the Asian individual, and Jane Doe number 6, aren't linked to Hoyerman, their deaths differing in method or timeline. Shannon Gilbert's case, still ruled undetermined, is excluded from his charges, infuriating her family. Shannon was murdered. Her sister, Cher Gilbert, told CBS News in August 2023. Her case is tied to Gilgo, same area, same time. Why are they ignoring her? Attorney John Ray echoed this in a 2024 press conference. The police want to close this case, but Shannon's death demands answers. Is Hoyerman the sole monster, Or did another predator slip through the cracks, still watching from the shadows? Long Island's South Shore is a paradox, a string of affluent beach towns like Gilgo, Beach, and Babylon, where multimillion-dollar homes with ocean views sit alongside pockets of poverty and invisibility. To many residents, the victims of the Long Island serial killer were outsiders, their lives dismissed with a shrug, their deaths met with whispers of judgment. Prostitutes, locals muttered at town halls and coffee shops. They brought this on themselves. Why should we care? The Suffolk County Police Department mirrored this bias, their early handling of the case steeped in prejudice. Shannon Gilbert's 911 call, filled with 22 minutes of terror, was dismissed as the rantings of a drug-addled hooker. Then Commissioner Richard Dormer told reporters in 2011, Shannon was irrational, possibly under the influence. Her death was likely an accident. No toxicology report supported this, yet the narrative stuck, painting her as less worthy of investigation. Melissa Barthelomy's family faced similar callousness. They told me she ran off, that she'd come back. Her mother, Lynn, told NBC in 2017. They didn't start looking for weeks because she was just a prostitute. This indifference wasn't limited to police. Long Island's class and racial divides played a role. Many victims were women of color or from working-class backgrounds. Maureen and Megan were white but poor. Melissa was black. Jessica and Valerie were mixed race. They weren't the blonde, privileged daughters of Long Island's elite, whose disappearances might have sparked immediate outrage. Nobody cared until the bodies piled up. A Babylon resident told the New York Times in 2011, their tone matter-of-fact. These girls weren't from here. They weren't our daughters. It took external pressure to shift the narrative. Mari Gilbert, Shannon's mother, became a fierce advocate, rallying families, confronting police, and pushing media to cover the case. No one cared because they were sex workers, she told Dateline in 2013, her voice thick with anger. But they were human, with dreams, with families who loved them. Mari's activism, amplified by Netflix's Lost Girls 2020, directed by LISK, and her documentary Gone Girls 2021, humanized the victims, forcing the public to see their faces, hear their stories. Tragically, Mari was murdered in 2016 by her daughter Sarah, who suffered from schizophrenia, a loss that deepened the family's pain. Locals remained detached, even as media attention grew. A 2022 Newsday op-ed quoted a Gilgo homeowner. "This is old news. Why keep dragging it up? Bad things happen everywhere." The stigma of sex work, combined with racial and economic biases, kept the case on the margins until Rex Hoyerman's arrest in 2023, when national headlines forced Long Island to confront its apathy. Even then, some residents downplayed it. "It's just one guy, and he's caught now," an Oak Beach retiree told News 12 in 2023. Let's move on. Why did it take a Netflix film and a decade of bodies to make society see these women as human? And what does that say about who we choose to mourn? The victims of the Long Island serial killer weren't just case numbers or headlines. They were women with lives, loves, struggles, and dreams, their stories silenced by a killer and a system that failed to protect them. Their families fight to keep their memories alive, refusing to let them be reduced to prostitutes or statistics. Maureen Brainard-Barnes, 25, was a mother of two from Norwich, Connecticut, known for her infectious laugh and fierce love for her children. Her sister, Nicolette, told People in July 2023, Maureen wanted to open a salon. She was saving every penny, working jobs she hated to give her kids a future. She was so much more than her work. Melissa Bartholomew, 24, was an aspiring hairstylist from Buffalo who moved to the Bronx for a fresh start. Her mother, Lynn, endured tormenting calls from her daughter's phone after she vanished. "Is this Melissa's mom?" A male voice sneered in July 2009, traced to Manhattan's Penn Station. "She's a whore and she's dead now." Lynn told NBC in 2011, "Those calls broke me, but I kept fighting for her. She was my baby, always smiling, always dreaming." Megan Waterman, 22, from Scarborough, Maine, left behind a 4-year-old daughter, Lily, now a teenager. Her partner, Akeem Cruz, told Newsday in 2010, "Megan was trying to get out of that life, to be a mom, to give Lily everything. She didn't deserve this." Lily keeps a photo of Megan by her bed, a reminder of a mother stolen too soon. Amber Lynn Costello, 27, from Wilmington, North Carolina, was a free spirit battling addiction but determined to rebuild. Her friend, Sarah Carnes, sobbed in a 2020 News 12 interview. "Amber was funny, kind, always made you smile. Nobody cared when she disappeared, but I did. She was my sister, not by blood, but by heart." Shannon Gilbert, 24, dreamed of singing professionally, her voice a beacon of hope for her family in Ellenville, New York. Her sister, Cher Gilbert, spoke at a 2022 vigil. "I don't care if people think she was on drugs or crazy. She was in fear for her life that night, screaming for help. Why didn't they listen to her?" The unidentified victims, the toddler, her mother Peaches, the Asian individual, Jane Doe number 6, haunt the case, their anonymity a wound that festers. "Someone's missing their child, their sister," Cher told CBS in 2024. "They deserve answers, too." The toddler, wrapped in a blanket, is especially heart-wrenching, her tiny life cut short alongside her mother's, their identities still a mystery. Families faced police apathy from the start, Lynn Bartholomew recalled. "They told me Melissa ran off, that she'd come back. They didn't start looking for weeks, like she didn't matter." Nicolette Brainard-Barnes echoed this. "We had to beg for updates. It was like Maureen was invisible to them." Megan's mother, Lorraine, told The Guardian in 2011, "I called every day, and they'd say, 'We're working on it.' But they weren't. They didn't care." Hope persists, fragile but fierce. Posters across Long Island read "Still Missing," featuring faces of the Gilgo Four, Shannon, and sketches of the unidentified. Families hold annual vigils, clutching candles, praying for closure. "I have to believe there are more out there," Cher said in 2024, her voice steady. "We won't stop until every victim is found, every name is known." Community groups, like Friends of the Gilgo Beach victims, raise funds for searches, keeping pressure on police. These women were human. Volunteer organizer Lisa DiBernardo told Newsday in 2023. "They had families, dreams. We owe them justice." What if one of these missing women is someone you know, waiting for you to fight for them, to give them a name? Rex Hoyerman sits in Suffolk County's Riverhead Correctional Facility, awaiting a trial scheduled for late 2025. Prosecutors paint him as a monster living a double life, an architect with a wife, Asa Ellerup, and 2 adult children, who blended into Massapequa Park's suburban sprawl while hunting vulnerable women with chilling precision. The indictment, unsealed in July 2023, charges him with 6 murders: the Gilgo Four, Maureen Brainard-Barnes, Melissa Bartholomew, Megan Waterman, Amber Lynn Costello, Jessica Taylor, and Sandra Costilla, a 1993 victim whose case was reopened after similarities emerged. The evidence is compelling. DNA from a pizza crust discarded outside his Manhattan office matches a hair on Megan Waterman's body, preserved in burlap. Burner phones he used to contact victims traced to Midtown Manhattan and his Long Island neighborhood, with calls made to the Gilgo before their disappearances. A green Chevy Avalanche, registered to Hoyerman, was seen near Amber Costello's last known location in West Babylon in September 2010, reported by a witness who saw her enter a vehicle. A planning document on his laptop, recovered by a multi-agency task force, outlines his methods: targeting petite women, luring them via Craigslist, avoiding detection with burner phones, and disposing of bodies in burlap sacks. Burlap, duct tape, and a belt with the initials WH or HM, possibly his father's, found at crime scenes link him to the murders. District Attorney Ray Tierney told CNN in July 2023. He exploited their desperation, their isolation, and we have the evidence to prove it. This is a predator who thought he'd never be caught. But Hoyerman hasn't confessed. His lawyer, Michael Brown, pushes back. The evidence is circumstantial at best. Rex is a family man, a professional, not a murderer. He's not capable of this. Hoyerman's family, blindsided, issued a statement via their attorney, Vesmitev, in August 2023. We're devastated. We had no idea. We're cooperating fully, but we believe in Rex's innocence. Neighbors describe him as quiet, unremarkable, a typical Long Island dad who mowed his lawn, waved politely, and lived in a modest, cluttered home with peeling paint. He was boring. A neighbor told the New York Times in 2023, "You'd never think he was that." Gaps in the case persist, casting doubt on a tidy resolution. 5 victims: Valerie Mack, the toddler, her mother Peaches, the Asian individual, and Jane Doe number 6, aren't linked to Hoyerman. Their deaths differing in method, dismemberment, blunt force, or timeline. 1990s, 2000. Shannon Gilbert's case, still ruled undetermined, is excluded from his charges, infuriating her family. Shannon was murdered. Her sister, Cher Gilbert, told CBS News in August 2023, her voice trembling with resolve. Her body was found half a mile from the others. Same area, same time. Why are they ignoring her? Attorney John Ray echoed this at a January 2024 press conference. The police want to close this case to look good, but Shannon's death demands answers. It's tied to Gilgo, and they know it. Bone fragments found in 2011 near Gilgo Beach and in Manaville's Pine Barrens hint at additional victims, possibly more than the 11 known, but degradation prevents DNA analysis. A December 2024 press release from the Suffolk County DA promised significant developments in the investigation, including new searches planned for spring 2025, but details remain scarce, fueling speculation. Online forums buzz with theories. Hoyerman as a scapegoat, a second killer still active, or police files hiding evidence of more victims. Could Hoyerman be innocent of some killings? Is DNA a coincidence in a case spanning decades? Is another killer still free, watching from the sidelines, their crimes obscured by sand and time? Or are the answers locked in police files, buried under years of mismanagement and secrets? How many more bodies are waiting to be found, their stories silenced by the dunes of Long Island? The Long Island serial killer didn't just hide women in the windswept sands of Gilgo Beach. He exposed a darker, uglier truth, a system that failed the vulnerable, a police force that looked the other way, a society that shrugged at the deaths of women it deemed disposable. These women, Maureen, Melissa, Megan, Amber, Shannon, and the unnamed, were daughters, mothers, sisters, their lives cut short by a predator who exploited their isolation, their desperation, their humanity. Shannon Gilbert's screams echoed for 22 minutes on that 911 call, a desperate plea for salvation. "They're trying to kill me. she cried, her voice raw with fear, her footsteps pounding against the pavement. Nobody came. Her disappearance, dismissed as insignificant, forced police to search and stumble upon a graveyard that might have stayed hidden forever. Shannon was an unintended hero. Her attorney, John Ray, told The Guardian in October 2023. Her erased life exposed the killer, but it also exposed a broken system that let these women die without a fight. But the truth is still buried, tangled in contradictions and unanswered questions. Was it one killer, evolving over decades, his methods shifting from dismemberment to strangulation? Two predators, sharing Long Island shadows, their crimes converging by chance? Was Shannon murdered, her hyoid bone fractured by a killer's hands? Or did she die alone in the marsh, abandoned by those meant to protect her? Why did Suffolk County Police stall for years, withholding her 911 tapes, ignoring witnesses, resisting FBI help? Who benefited from the silence, from the narrative that these women chose their fate? This case isn't closed. Not while victims remain missing, their names unknown, their families trapped in a purgatory of grief and hope. Not while posters reading "Still Missing" hang on Long Island's telephone poles, their faces fading but their stories unresolved. Not while bone fragments hint at more lives lost, more truths buried in the sand. The dunes of Ocean Parkway hold secrets, secrets of lost lives, of justice denied, of a killer who walked among us, perhaps still does. Who's hiding those secrets? Police, society, or a killer who's still out there, waiting for the next chance to strike? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you believe happened to Shannon? And how many more victims are still missing, waiting for their names to be spoken? Hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more true crime stories that dig deep into the darkness, demanding answers for the forgotten. Share this to honor the women of Gilgo Beach, Maureen, Melissa, Megan, Amber, Shannon, and the unnamed, whose voices deserve to be heard, whose lives demand justice. Check out our videos on the Zodiac Killer, whose ciphers still taunt us, or the Cleveland Torso Murders, another case of lost identities, for more stories that haunt and unsettle. We'll see you in the next one, where we uncover another mystery, another truth, another story too chilling to forget.